Hi, guys, and welcome to the Women's Health Summit, where you're gaining clarity so you can lead with confidence and finally turn your passion into profit. I'm Laura Sherrill, a high performance women's health coach and the founder of Balance Bombshells. And today I'm here with Kamelia Britton, who is an Instagram and travel blogger. She uses Instagram and she's also a business coach to help entrepreneurs build profitable personal brands with purpose. And I'm so excited to chat with you today because we need to up our Instagram game and I'm just so grateful you're going to share your wealth of knowledge, because I know it's such a hot topic of like how to use Instagram for a business. But first, before we dive into that, I'd love to know how you got started in your business and why.
Yes, for sure. I love telling the story because it's such a windy road as an entrepreneur, as we all know.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, it's like it's never like, oh yeah, it's perfect. Yeah, mine was definitely a windy road. So back in, let's see, oh gosh, let's say, where do I start? I was a nurse for like a million years before I was actually a blogger, and I loved traveling. And so first thing, I started another business, which was like a home care company, because I was a nurse and like I realized I didn't really like it. And then I started a whole different business, which was like Reiki and wellness and all that. And then I realized I was kind of stuck in a room and I couldn't travel, and I love traveling. So then I started my blog because I was like this travel blogger. I just felt like I was traveling all the time and I wanted to share. So then I started my blog, which was in 2016.
And the
And
photos are beautiful. I'm going to be
oh,
sharing your website. It's so cute. Like just the ocean. It's just, yeah, guys, it's super cute.
yeah. Yeah. So I was kind of a serial entrepreneur already. And then, yeah, I just was like, oh, I wish I could find my thing. And then, my boyfriend, now fiance, but boyfriend at the time, was like, oh, why don't you just start a travel blog? And I was like, ha ha ha, that's a horrible idea, right? Like, I actually want to make money. Like, you know what I mean? How am I going to make
Right.
money from a blog? And back in 2016, it wasn't really the case as it is today. It was like
Yeah.
very different. And so he's like, yeah, you just build a following. And he was kind of explaining it to me. And I was like, oh, that sounds like a horrible idea. Like, no.
Yeah. Usually the men don't tell us this stuff. Like it's either women or other people you've seen online. So it's nice that he was
Oh,
so supportive.
yeah, he was so supportive. Well, he's big on social media
Yeah.
himself. He's actually an immigration lawyer, and he had done really well with social media. So he knew the power of it. He actually went viral and all this. So I was like, oh, that happened. I can't recreate viral, and all this. And so anyway, I went ahead and started it, and I thought I would give it a try. And he was like, try it for a year and see how you like it. And if you don't like it after a year, just quit. And I was
That's
like,
great advice.
yeah.
Like such great advice.
Yeah, it just took the pressure off, right? Because we
Yeah.
just kind of make things so hard and we get so
Yeah.
committed and all this. And he was like, just quit, just keep your nursing job and do whatever. And I was like, okay, I can do that. And so it just took the pressure off, and I had fun and I learned a lot. A year went past and I'd made some money, but I was still figuring it out. It's like always this way in the first year. And I didn't really have a mentor to kind of go and say, how do I cut to the chase? I was like looking for one. I was like, I will hire or pay whoever. But back then there wasn't really an Instagram coach or anything like
Right.
that, or a blogger coach. And so, yeah, I just was like going down the rabbit hole of Google, just trying to figure everything out on my own and just reading articles and trying to see what people were doing and all these things. And then, so yeah, that was in 2016 I started. By 2017, I started to get my first sponsored post, which was really funny. And so they reached out to me. It was like a food service, and it was called Purple Carrot. So it was one of those ones where they send you the food and you can make
Okay.
it. And I was in travel, and so I thought, well, gosh, I'm in travel. This is food. Like, is this even a fit? And again, Jacob, my fiance or boyfriend at the time, was like, well, like not everybody travels, but like everyone eats. And I'm like, that's true. And so
Yeah.
I thought, okay, I'll try it. And he's like, then you can see if you actually liked it or not. And so I did it, and I took it, and it was, like, we'll send you the food and like $50. And I was like, oh, yay, perfect. It was like
Yeah.
my fun.
Yeah.
So I was like, yeah, cool. And so I did it, and I was like chopping the vegetables and doing all this, and we were taking pictures, and I was like, this is hard. And I didn't really know what I was doing, and I just kind of figuring it out. And then I did it, and I thought, okay, I'll try some more. And so that was kind of the wave of like when the influencer marketing kind of started to happen in 2017.
Yeah. We can talk about that too. I'm obsessed with influencer marketing. Like it's unbelievable, but keep going.
Yeah, totally. So I was kind of there, and I had started doing them. So people were seeing that I was doing them, and I started getting more opportunities, and I started going to more conferences and travel things and things like that. And then I started doing a lot more work as an influencer. And then in 2018, I got invited on a press trip to the Maldives, which was amazing. And so I actually got engaged there, and then our engagement photo went viral, which was great.
Oh, that's so cute.
So yeah, so it was like shared on Couple Goals and The Knot and like all these places. And so that was great. And so then I was like, at that point,
Your fiance must have been so proud of himself. I feel like, especially if he's into social media too, like,
totally.
he's like, yeah, I got this in the bag. Like, so
Totally,
good.
totally. Yeah. And then I learned so much along the way and all these things. And then, so then, by the end of 2018, I was able to quit my nursing job and I went full time and I started holding events and doing Instagram coaching. And I was just really, doing a lot of things on my own. I was running my whole entire business. I was doing influencer work. I was having affiliate links for my blog and I was also doing coaching and running events and things like that. I also did like a tour. I took people to Costa Rica on an adventure tour. So I was doing all these different things. And then in 2019, I got a crazy health scare. So I got an unexpected cancer diagnosis. And so I was like, okay, great. Now I can't travel anymore, for like a time. And so that was July 2019. And so I had all this newfound time because I used to be traveling to a new country every month. And so I, really said, well, I can kind of step up my coaching, at this point, because I'm home and I was like going through treatment and everything, but I was still feeling really good. And so there was no reason I couldn't work, but I just had to do it from home. And so
Right.
since I was in travel, I would start doing more lifestyle brand campaigns and things like that. And then I was just started stepping up my coaching and I just got more and more clients and I was just more available because I wasn't on a plane every second.
Yeah.
And so, yeah. And then basically now I'm done with treatment and I'm in remission. Yay. So I'm
Yay.
done with remission, completely done with treatment. I'm in remission. And now when I could travel again, now we're in a global pandemic.
Right. So it's like the universe is like, this is what we need you to focus on right now. And like, just go with it.
Exactly. And so I just have been talking more about it and doing more. And so now I'm, creating groups and everything. And so I've just done more and more coaching and it's been really fun. And everyone's, excited to move their business online or start a business online or whatever. So yeah, I'm really excited. I'm mostly doing, 90% coaching now. And so I love it. And my brand is already built. My brand's already established. Like I can still do influencer campaigns. I have a team that manages me. So I'm signed with a talent agency. I have a manager. They do all that. And so I'm really freed up to do a lot of the coaching, which I love because I'm all about empowering, women, especially to, basically be able to do whatever it is that they want to do and do their purpose and live their passion. So,
right. And utilizing social media, like it's become such a hard market, especially influencer marketing. And I think I don't know if you can talk about this too, is people think they can't do influencer marketing because they might not have like 100,000 followers or 1 million. Like they think there has to be like some number, but there's a new wave of influencer marketing for micro influencers. So like my following, I've actually had paid campaigns and my following isn't even at the 10,000. So it's like, you absolutely can do that. Do you want to talk a little bit about like brand deals and like how you started going about getting those?
Yeah, sure. I mean, the first one, like I said, they reached out to me. And so I really didn't ever look for any. And I was just at the time, that's not the case now, but that's how I got started.
Yeah.
And then there's of course lots and lots of platforms that you can join. I think you need 3,000 followers to join a lot of them. But also, like I said, the micro influencers, I've worked with clients who have come to me. I have one girl in particular who's a beauty blogger, and she was kind of stuck at like 1,100 followers when she found me, and she didn't really know what she was doing. And she really wanted to do this, and she wanted to learn her blog and how to work with brands and how to make money, through her thing. And so she started working with me just before the pandemic. And so then we went into lockdown, and she was an esthetician and she was a lash technician. She did the lashes. And so she was like perfectly placed then to start making money from her blog and her Instagram. And she totally did. We worked together, and in 8 weeks, she grew her account by 30%. Wow. She, is basically now at like 1,700 followers. So she grew that in just 8 weeks. Right. And so I taught her how to grow, how to, do other things, how to monetize. She didn't think she could monetize at under 2,000 followers.
Right. And you can. Yeah, you absolutely can.
She's monetizing. She's getting partnerships. She's monetized her blog, her Instagram. She's getting sponsored. She's getting shared on other accounts for brands that she's worked with already. So yeah, it's been amazing. It's absolutely doable if you're ready to put in the work. And so I'm here to give you the recipe, and it's your job to go out and make it and do the work.
Yeah, I think people forget, like, or like we're oversold that it's going to be easy. And it's like, any sort of success you're going to have in your business is because there's a lot of strategy, there's a lot of thought, there's working with people who can help move the needle from point A to point B. So I just love that you've been able to take like your passion and knowing like, hey, I was looking for someone to pay and I had to figure it out on my own. And now like you can shorten other people's learning curves, because there's so many of us who feel stuck, especially when Instagram rules keep changing, algorithms keep changing. Like people are sometimes at a loss, like how do you keep up with that? But really, and I don't know if you want to talk about this too, is staying true and genuine to yourself and your brand. And like, then doesn't like the algorithm not even matter if you're like so true and authentic to you?
Mm-hmm. So everyone complains about the algorithm, and my response to that is post content that people want to see.
Right.
That's to the algorithm.
Yeah.
Post content that people want to see. Are you showing up? Are you being helpful? Or are you just talking about yourself?
Right.
And if you're going to talk about yourself, you can do it in such a way that it really benefits the reader. Yeah. So if I talk about, my cancer journey, which I totally did, but I would end it with like a takeaway, or I would bring them into my journey somehow, right? So there's always a way to do it. And there's always a way. So every single post that you make, you need to be thinking what's in it for them, right? Not just posting because this is a pretty photo and you look cute in it or whatever. Like that's not how it works. You know what I mean?
Right.
So you have to be authentic, of course. I mean, again, I was in the travel and lifestyle space for years, and then I all of a sudden got a cancer diagnosis. Well, I couldn't travel then anymore, and all this, and so I had to make a choice, and I chose to share my journey. Well, cancer has nothing to do with travel or lifestyle or whatever, or wellness or anything, right? And I wasn't in any of those things, but I shared my journey, and people loved it because it made me human, and I was just open and authentic about it, and people connected with me so much, even more, and they loved it that I was super authentic. And I would just like, I made the choice to just show up, and I again just said, okay, this is happening. Not everybody else has cancer, but I'm sure there's something we can share that's insightful, whether it's on wellness or whether it's how to get through hard times, resilience. I'm talking a lot about resilience now, like on the feed, because everything I went through, I was so tested with my health, and now we're all being tested in this way too. Like,
how do we pivot? What do you do?
Yeah, exactly. So there's always a lesson and there's always a nugget or gem that you can share. And so if you just have your mindset about how can you serve, then I think that that's always, number one. So authenticity and connection is number one. And 2020 was already going into the year of authenticity before this happened. And now that we're in a global pandemic, it's the year of authenticity so much more.
For sure. And I think like I definitely felt like this when I first got started. So I don't know if you did too, of feeling really anxious and nervous of sharing so much of yourself and like basically like putting it all out there. But I think it's something so beautiful, because then like the people who do follow, like click the follow button, they're doing it because they generally like feel you and they like you and they want to like keep having that conversation with you, because that's what Instagram is too. It's having this like ongoing conversation. Do you notice any, like when you start working with clients and they're like, hey, I'm feeling stuck, what do I do? Things aren't growing. What kind of mistakes do you see that they're making that you're like, no, like let's turn that around?
Oh God, a million things.
Yeah.
I mean, like that's
start with like 3. Yeah.
I mean, I spent 8 weeks correcting their, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whatever. So many things. Oh my gosh. A big one is just not understanding to seek out a way to give value. Like they don't know what to post. And a lot of them are like, they get hung up on a hashtag or like whatever. And I'm just like, okay, let's say you used the right hashtag and someone found you and made their way to your content. Is then that content so great and grand and valuable or useful or something that they're going to want to click follow? Like, that's what you need to think about. Like, instead of just like, I want to get more followers. Okay, well, what are you going to do with those followers?
Right.
That's my first question to everybody. Like, okay, let's get you some followers. What are you going to do with those followers? There's a person behind every like, every view, every follow. How are you going to show up for them? And they're like, I don't, like, what value do you provide? And they're like, I don't know. And I'm like, okay, that's step one.
Right. Find out what you want to do with people.
Right. And I'm great at like finding, because a lot of people have so many different options, or they're like, oh, I'm good at this, or I like all these things, and they're multi-passionate and all that. And that's totally fine, because I'm the same. I have so many passions and so many things that I'm interested in. So I'm like, I feel you. But at the same time, we can go through, and I have a whole exercise that I do like in the program where we go super deep around passion and purpose. And we just go really deep into your story. And like, I dig things out that no one else can like get to. Like, what, where did this come from? Or I haven't told people this ever. I haven't told anyone this ever. Like, how did you get this out of me? And like, not that I'm trying to like whatever, but we really get into their purpose and their why. And like, sometimes it's hiding in plain sight and they just never saw it. And sometimes they're like, I didn't even think about that. You know what I mean? So,
but that's what like kind of that's what kind of jumps out of the site or the app into people's like minds and their hearts. Like they feel it. So, because like I really love how you're helping people use Instagram, but also getting them to understand how to create their own personal branding and create a business around their passions and their purpose. And basically coaching them through, because I've seen it a lot where women are like, well, I just want more followers. And like, same as you, like, but those are people. Like, yeah, you want to work with brands, but like, you have to also know who your audience is, because like brands aren't going to partner with you if your demographics don't fit their demographics. Like, you're a marketing tool now for that company. And like, you have to be true to yourself, your purpose, and care about your followers too. Because you also don't want to, how do you work with people when they have someone, like a brand comes to them or they're pitching brands, but it's not in exact alignment with them and their message and their followers? Do you work with like how they can say no, or work around how to make something work that fits?
So I have a rule that's just hard and fast for that. And it's like, if you would not spend money on it yourself in the real world, then you have no business promoting it. If you like a product and you either use it yourself already, organically and naturally, great. If it's a new product you've never heard of, but you actually said, yeah, you can send it and I'll let you know, or whatever, and then you did use it and you're like, this is great, I found some great products like that. And some of these are small brands, right? And so there's one concealer that I use like today that I'm like obsessed with, that I had no idea existed, but they sent it to me and I was like, this is the best stuff ever. And it's all natural and everything. And so I use it to this day. I pay for it. Like, you know what I mean? I did one campaign with them and then now I just pay for it and I love it. And so if it's a new brand, but you actually use it and love it, then fine. But you have no business promoting anything that you wouldn't spend money on. It's just not fair to your audience to ask them to spend money on something you wouldn't even buy yourself.
Yeah. And I feel like people can feel that.
Yeah, you can see it. You can see it. You can feel it from a mile away. So, and I know my audience always knows that I'm super authentic. So my campaigns go really well because they're all things I would use myself. And I show how I'm using it myself, or like, you know, why I'm using it, and sharing that story.
Yeah, which I think is powerful too, because like I think we can get blinded by wanting to make the brand partnership, wanting to make money. But I love your rule of like, if you wouldn't use it, like you really don't have business talking about it. Because sometimes I see people's campaigns and I'm like, I don't know if you use this. And the fact that that creates doubt in my mind, I'm then going to be less intrigued of even listening to what you have to say about that product or service or whatever.
Of course, yeah. Influencer marketing only works if like the person has influence, and the person only has influence if they're real and authentic with their audience.
Right.
So
yeah.
That's the role.
How do you work with the women who are in like the health and wellness space around like using either fitness or health coaching?
What specifically? How do I work with them? How? Like
maybe in terms of like their branding, brand partnerships, like how you kind of clean up their act. Because I know a lot of women who are watching this are in the health and wellness space or aspiring to be in that space. So they're going to want to make a lot of influence within how like the lifestyle choices that people are making, their fitness, stress, balance, how we can all find that in our world.
Are these influencers or coaches, or what are like?
They're going to be a mix. So just female entrepreneurs who either want to get into the health and wellness space because they want to share that passion. So they might be having coaching programs, but they also can be bloggers or vloggers who want to talk about different products that they use. And I feel like too, they can also blend together. So like you're coaching, but you're also doing, Yeah,
absolutely. As long as they're not two different, niches or whatever, that's totally fine. I mean, you can definitely just start showing up and start offering value to your audience. Like that's the first thing you should do, right? You need to You need to grab attention, right? With content people want to see. You need to be real and authentic and show you're a person and be real and relatable with people. You need to give outstanding value, and you need to connect them with your why and share why you're showing up. So that's like my biggest tip for everybody. So that's how you can grow. And I mean, it's just, you really need to focus on those things and, you know, connecting and inspiring, educating, and entertaining, right? And then after you've done all that, you have the know, like, and trust factor, and then you can sell them your services or your affiliate linked products or whatever it is.
Right. And then do you ever have to talk to your clients about the photos that they use? Because like Instagram is very visual. Mm-hmm. So do you teach them like how they can be taking better photos?
Yeah. So I definitely, you know, say, again, post content people want to see. What does that look like for your niche, right? Is it, you know, what does that look like, right? Is it going to be, it's going to be different for every niche, right? If you're a personal brand, it could be a lot of photos of you, and that's fine. But yeah, it just really depends on the niche and the goal. I work with, you know, wedding planners, and so we're posting wedding content. I work with photographers, so you want to show that off. So it's really like post content that people want to see, but also shows off your business. So it just really depends on the client. So for that.
Yeah. Because I'm just assuming if people are coming to you and like, people can definitely get to a threshold where they feel stuck. And I think pictures and obviously what they're saying matters, like all of it comes together. Is your fiance going to be like an Instagram husband? Like, is he already there?
Oh, he's already an Instagram husband. He has a lot of followers too. He has over 200 himself.
Yeah. And it's just kind of cool that you guys can share together, because like anything he helps you with, like you can help him with, and like knowing you're going to get married, like it's just, it helps so much when your person is like on board with you. I think it's so much harder. So when you were like going in the direction of doing this full time, like, was he just like so excited for you to like let go of the nursing?
He was just really supportive. I mean, it was just all, you know, me. Like, I mean, he was just like, it's up to you. You know what I mean? And I was so scared because I was like doing really well, but there was like there's no stability, right? You're only as good as your last post, essentially, right? And so you just have to trust that more are going to keep coming. And I was doing really well, but like I was so terrified to jump because I was, a nurse for so long, and I clocked in and I clocked out, and I got a steady paycheck and all this. And then I'm just going to like leave my stable, noble nursing career for like Instagram. Like that felt so unsafe in like a million ways. And so I just said, I think I'm going to do it. And he was just kind of like, it's on you. You know what I mean? Yeah. So, and I was just like, okay. And so I jumped. And then whenever I did, I ended up overcompensating. I worked so hard, and like I pitched and I reached out and I applied and did all these that ended up making more than I did with my nursing job because I was so scared. So I like went overzealous, and then I was like, okay, it happened that month. And then I like was not sure it was going to happen again. And then it happened again the next month because I was still just freaking out and like trying to, you know, do things. And then after like the third month, I was like, okay, I guess like it's okay. Like I've got this, you know, but I like wasn't convinced. I was totally nervous. And so, yeah, he was.
I think, everyone watching this right now, I think can relate to that story, because they're either in that fear of like, how do I leave my job to basically pursue my passion, or I've made the jump, but how do I keep things consistent and growing? So I just really appreciate you sharing like the real fear.
Yeah, you just gotta hustle, girl. You just gotta hustle.
I mean, I felt like that like when we're now married. We got married almost a year ago, but when we were still dating, we weren't even engaged yet. I was like, hey, I've been working on this business for a year. I think I'm ready to quit my job and like pursue it full time. And he was like you can just see the fear in his eyes of like, okay, like this is the path that I'm basically going to be brought down on, whether I like it or not. Yeah. But there's something to jumping and having that faith, but doing it when you know you're ready. Like, it's not like you just quit your job once you started doing Instagram or doing your work.
No, it was like 2 years. And even though I was making money, I was like terrified to like leave my stability. Yeah. And I still had bills. So it was like, not like he's going to just take care of everything. Like we still have bills, you know? So I was like, okay, I'm going to do it. And I had savings and everything. I was definitely prepared. And then just a few things happened in our life where, some personal things happen with like some illness with his mom and things. And so it just made sense that something had to give because I was getting really busy with both. I was working full time as a nurse and I was also working full time as a blogger, Instagrammer, and all this. And it was really like, oh, like I was just about to crack open.
Yeah, I feel like that's when you know that's your breaking point. That was the same
Yeah.
thing for me where I was like, okay, I know I'm going to have to make a decision when I am clearly like I'm not going to be able to keep going at full capacity at both because like, especially, you know, being a nurse and like all of your health stuff, like our health has to be in alignment too. So,
Totally.
oh, it's just crazy, the entrepreneurial journey.
It is. It probably is.
Do you help women like find their messaging too? So I know you talked about like really diving deep and finding that purpose, and then because obviously like tone and message is really important to what we're sharing online.
Yes, absolutely. That's like one of my favorite things to do. Yeah, we dive super deep in your story, discover your messaging, we discover brand values, we do all that stuff. That's like the funnest part. We do that right at the beginning and we just kick it off. And then we have this beautiful foundation for going forward and they all love it. Everyone loves it. It's like, oh my God, it all comes together.
I feel like that's the part that everyone's trying to find. They're trying to find like, who am I on this platform? What am I meant to share? So I feel like it's so beautiful that you can help women unlock that because I feel like that's where the resistance and like the stress and mental anxiety comes forward because they're like, it's there, but something's just not clicking.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I feel like we all have gone through that in some way, especially when you're trying to use the platform for work.
Totally. Yeah. No, that's one of the biggest things. They either know their thing and they're just, you know, they're so busy doing good work in their business but they don't know how to like, you know, unravel their story. And I'm like, one of my superpowers is like, I'm a natural storyteller. Like I was a writer since I was a kid and all these things. And I just have learned as well. And I'm a blogger and I've, you know, been doing this for 4 years. So I've been writing captions every day of my life for years. So I know how to tell a story at this point. And so, you know, it's helping other people kind of tell their story and how they can show up as them. And then once they get it, oh my gosh, they have so much clarity. And then clarity creates confidence, right?
Yeah.
And so then once they have that clarity, they can show up confidently online. And then they're just so rooted into their messaging that it's just like this beautiful thing to watch. I just watch them bloom. It's like amazing.
Yeah, that must be so fun, especially when like they start noticing like the impact, like having more followers, having more engagement, having more brand deals, and being like, wow, I can actually utilize this. So we have women watching who might want to do that more full time or might want it to blend with their coaching business. But I think it's just really good to understand how to do it because like it's such a hot topic, but no one really talks about like the behind the scenes and what's really going on and how to kind of put it together. So I just love the work that you're doing to be able to help women figure that out because it is really confusing. I mean, you've gone down that road and
oh God, yeah, exactly.
You know, it's hard to find that information. So it's just really cool to have people who are now like, no, this is a thing. This isn't going anywhere. Like social media is just blowing up still, even though it's been blowing up for like the past decade or 15 years.
Definitely. Yeah. No, it's not going anywhere. So yeah. And it's like, there's a billion people on there every single month. I mean, so yeah, you just need like your little zip code, you know, your little area. So that's all you need. Yeah.
Do you have a system set up about like how to like pitch brands? Because I know you work with a talent agency now that probably does a lot of that for you. But like when someone's first starting, how do we go about like pitching brands?
Yeah. So, I mean, I managed myself for 2 years.
Yeah.
So I know how to do all of that. Like I went through so many things. I mean, there's a whole method to that madness. I mean, but yeah, there's pitching and there's catching, like, you know, reaching out and saying like, how can we work together, showing your value about your audience and things like that. And then there's catching, which is like receiving and how do you receive that properly and make it work the best for you. There's definitely some templates that I use for that and everything. I definitely help my clients with that. Yeah.
Yeah. Because I'm in a Facebook group for people who are really into Instagram and they're always asking like how to get more followers, how to stop getting just free product and how to actually get paid. And I'm always like, do you have a media kit? Like, can you actually represent your demographics to the brand? So like I used to work in fundraising where I did a lot of sponsorship packets with corporations to either come to an event or sponsor something for the nonprofit. So I was like really well versed in media kits. And I'm like, are no one talking to these people about how to create something to actually like showcase why they should partner with someone. And most of them don't have it. And I'm like, oh my gosh, there's no one talking to these people about it. Like,
I am.
people, yeah, I know. That's why I was like so excited when I found your stuff, because I'm like, it's just something people don't know, especially when they're coming from like a personal brand
Totally.
part, or even if you're a coach, you can absolutely be making brand partnerships and utilizing social media for your business and like whatever you're doing. Do you teach people how to make like media kits?
Yeah, it's very easy. I mean, you
Yeah.
just, yeah, I definitely do teach with that. I teach, kind of what to say, how to connect, how to reach out, like how to counter offer,
Yeah.
things like that.
Yes.
Those things.
I
Yeah.
love the counter offer. Like, because there's always wiggle room, like always.
Definitely. Yeah. So I
Yeah.
teach them all that. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Oh, I just think your work is so needed, because like it's a very confusing time around it. So I think that there needs to be people out there just being like, no, this is the thing. This is how you can actually make it a business, but how to show it professionally. So like when these women are posting, I'm like, how are you communicating with these brands? Because like I can understand why they're not responding to you. Because like if you lead with, well, I have a lot of followers, they're going to be like, cool, what's your engagement rate? Like, they just, yeah. So there's just so much information that I know you need to share and just get out there. Do you have any other tips on how we can be utilizing Instagram to grow organically too?
Yeah, it just goes back to who you serve and how you help, right? So I work with a lot of service providers like coaches and, like I said, photographers, wedding planners, all the things, all the people that provide services, right? So growing organically is showing up and helping and being of service, talking about how you help, talking about testimonials, showing up, offering the help and just stuff like that. It's basically, like we said, being outstanding value always, right? Always having in mind what's in it for them. Like every single time you post, you have your perfect ideal client in your mind, and you're going to say, what's in this for them, right? And you're going to speak directly to them. So, like I have someone who's in real estate that I'm currently working with, and they don't know what to post. And and I said, I'm sure you have several different types of ideal clients, right? And of course I have the first time buyer, the retiree, the family. And I was like, okay, perfect. Right. And so we made a list of all these, and I said, well, the first time buyer, what do they need? They need education. They need a mentor. They need someone who's going to take them under the wing and just show them how it's done, right? The retiree, they want the negotiator. They want the one who's going to get them the good deal because they're going to be on the fixed income. Do you know what I mean? And then the family, they're going to want this many bedrooms and maybe a pool, and like the dog needs a yard, and they're all going to have different needs, right? And so if you're going to go and make captions, you can speak into all these different needs, right? And so it's just showing up for your target audience, and don't worry about the other followers who are not, then they can just unfollow.
Right. Exactly. They can find someone else.
Exactly. And so we want, we don't have, like I talk about on my program, it's like the 5 principles, and they all start with a P, which is funny, but it's we start with passion, and then we go into purpose, of course. Like passion, obviously you have a passion or you wouldn't be doing it, right? But then we go really deep into your purpose, like really deep into your why and your story. And that's like my specialty. I can really just dig in there. And then we go into like proficiency, which is like all the nuts and the bolts and the how-tos, and like, how do we do hashtags, and how do we do this, and how do we show up in content and stuff like that. And then the next one is profit, which if we don't have profit, we don't have a business, right? So I'm really focused on making you money and not getting you followers. I'm focused on getting you quality over quantity, because vanity metrics mean nothing. Likes don't buy, and they don't pay the bill. Right. And
I think too, like, didn't they change it where like you can't always see who likes someone's post? Like, because I know like psychologically it was like really damaging to a lot of people. So I know Instagram was like trying to protect people's sanity too.
Yeah, it's the likes are still there on mine. Like some people don't have likes, and some
I know it's like it's a tricky time right now because they're trying to test.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And then the last one, like I said, is what I call prosperity. And it's like, how do we continue to show up and create content consistently without burning out? Because it's like a content machine. You just have to feed the monster constantly.
Yeah.
There's a way to do that, without burning out. So like, that's all kind of like my like program in a nutshell. And we run through all of that and everything in between, of course.
Yeah. No, I love that, because like it really can become like a burnout. I was following, she's like a really big influencer on like blogging and social media. And I remember her talking about how she had to take like 6 months off because she was so burnt out from like work and content creation, because it really can become a job just like anything else. But then how do you set those boundaries between your life and posting, do you have like any tips on like how to kind of like separate from our online world? Because it absolutely can feed into our stress.
Absolutely. I mean, I went through 16 rounds of chemo and I still ran my business. So, I mean, it can be done for sure. So, I mean, you basically have to just take care of you first, of course. And then when you're working, you need to batch your content. You need to batch your time, right? Set a timer, sit down and write 3 captions for the week, right? You don't have to post every day. So you can post 3 times a week on the feed, and then you can show up in stories. 7 stories a day is what, 2 minutes, 3 minutes max or whatever. You can figure out how to do 7 stories a day. And you can also figure out how to do 3 posts a week, right? If you spend an hour on Sunday and you wrote out 3 captions and you have your 3 photos ready to go, you've spent an hour. And then you basically do this for the week, and then you spend an hour engaging or whatever. And then you show up at least like 7 times. You don't need to have 100 stories of every single thing that you did through your entire day, but you just need to consistently be showing up. So, I mean, it can be very manageable if you have these systems in place and you have like a content calendar and you know what you're talking about. Like if you have a direction and that clarity, like what we find, and if you have like a clear direction of where you're going, who you're serving, how you're helping, and all that, and then you're going to have a very easy, time showing up on Instagram. It's so much easier. It doesn't become like taking over you, or you can burn out.
Right, for sure. And I think too, when people kind of question what to post, it's like, well, and especially when they're making that like strategy, it's like, what are people most engaging with? And like, how can you do more posts like that? Because like your audience tells you what they want from you. So I tested a lot. So I teach women's health and I teach a concept called cycle syncing. So I don't know if you've ever heard of that. Mm-hmm. So it's when women partner like their food and their fitness and like their work and lifestyle habits to where they are in their monthly cycle. And it actually goes along with like our natural energy curve. It goes when we're going to be more energetic and more outgoing and want to socialize versus when we want to like reflect and kind of be alone and like not talk. So it's actually like really grounding and so intuitive, but no one ever teaches us how to do it. So I remember testing it on my like Instagram to talk about like other things. And I got the most engagement from like cycle syncing. So I'm like, okay, clearly this is what people want to learn right now. So it's like, I'm going to create more content around that because it's like your audience will tell you.
Right. So yeah, that's awesome. That's super interesting.
Oh, the cycle syncing?
Yeah, that's interesting.
Oh, I'm like, I used to just plummet like before and during my period where I'm like, how can I get it where my body doesn't feel so burnt out? I don't feel so tired. I don't feel so like moody. And it just helps so much of even just managing my energy. And I'm like, oh, my body naturally wants to function like this. I'm just basically pushing past exhaustion, which was not good. So I know burnout real well.
Yeah. Oh gosh, same. I was like, whenever I got diagnosed, I was just like running so hard and so fast because I was like freaking out. Like, 'cause I quit my nursing job and I was like, I have to keep this going. Like, I can't fail. So it's just going and going and going. And then whoop, I got a like tap on the shoulder. Right. And then I was just like, okay, note taken.
Yeah.
So, why I've built this into my program of like, you cannot burn out, you have to do it this way. So.
Well, do you feel like when women are operating from a place of burnout that it shows up like in the content that they're sharing and their tone and their message?
Definitely. I can speak from personal experience and I can also speak from like seeing other people. Yeah. I mean, because when you are burnout, like you really don't have any more creativity left. I used to post every single day. On the feed, creating content constantly. And it's just too much, you know what I mean? And I would just take photos and all that. And it's just so much time. And I, went down to 2 or 3 times a week and my business is fine. You know what I mean? But we have in our heads that we have to post every day and that's a lot.
I remember one marketing coach I talked to, she was like, yeah, you're supposed to post like 3 to 5 times a day. And I was like, I don't think I'm ever going to stick with that. Like I'm good if it's once a day. Mine's usually like once a day, Monday through Friday. And because I also feel like there's so many people on the platform right now that like, if you're not posting every single day, people might not even see your post every single day, because they're following all these other people too. So I love how you sharing that of like, yeah, I can post 2 to 3 times a week and everything is still fine, which is beautiful. So like literally it's wonderful permission for the female entrepreneurs out there to not feel, because there is other like business coaches who are telling people to post multiple times a day. And you can just kind of see where that exhaustion wheel is coming from.
So what I tell my clients is you should post whatever you can keep up with for the long term, for the next 10 years.
Yeah.
If that's every day, then by all means post every day. You're going to get more eyeballs on it. But if that's not something that's easy for you to do, especially if you're creating, like if you're creating kind of digital art, like a lot of the travel bloggers do, like that's very hard to do, to post every day, right? If you're just kind of like more of a personal brand and you can post a selfie and then your meal and like whatever, that's kind of easy to do, post every day. But if it depends on your account and your goals and your niche and all that, right? And so I just say really make a schedule for yourself that you can stick to for 10 years. If you can post 3 days a week for 10 years, then post 3 days a week. And then it's consistency. Instagram sees that you're being consistent. Your followers see you're being consistent. And that's really all that matters. But if you can post every day, by all means do that, right? So you have to just stick with what you can stick with.
Yeah. Which I think is such great advice, because like, you hear all these things of like, oh, I'm then not going to be successful if I don't keep up with what someone else is doing. And really, like, every woman needs to kind of tune into what feels good for her and what can be sustainable. Because I've definitely, especially in the early days, I went through phases of like feeling burnt out. So I just like wouldn't show up or do anything for like 2 weeks. And I'm like, well, that's not great either. So it's like, you definitely, because the algorithm does respond to the consistency. So you want to make sure that what you're doing is actually going to work.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah. So I know you have a freebie for everyone. So do you want to talk about the strategy call that I'll be sharing with everyone in the show notes?
Yes, of course. It's like one of my favorite things to do. I like a natural problem solver. It's like all my years as being an ICU nurse and everything. So I'm a critical thinking problem solver. And so what I love to do is have everybody join me for a strategy call, and it's over Zoom, just like this. And basically I have you fill out a questionnaire and tell me, all your things about your business, the questions you have about Instagram, and just kind of get a feel for where you're at, where your knowledge level is at, kind of where you're at, where you'd like to be, and all that. And so we'll hop on a call, and it's basically all about you. And it's about a 45-minute call or whatever. And we basically, chat about where you're at, where you're at, where you want to be, what's in the way, like what are your struggles and stuff like that. And just really give you like a strategy to go forward in your business. And that's like one of my favorite things to do. And then, so I'm offering that for free as a gift. So I'd love to have you take me up on it.
Yeah, it's so generous for you to do that, and like such a high value to be able to like really dive in of like, here's where I'm stuck, and like really get that immediate feedback, which I think we all need. So thank you so much for sharing that and sharing your wealth of knowledge on Instagram and how to like actually use this in our business.
Yes, of course. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's been so fun. We'll see you soon.